You ever wish there was just one or two stat blocks you could use for 99% of your encounters? Hey everybody, it's Bobby from the GM table, and today we're covering what are possibly the last stat blocks you'll ever need. Now, in this episode, we're going to cover Savage Worlds and D&D 5th edition. I'd love to cover every system and all of that. Who knows, maybe we'll do this again for other systems. But this is an idea that originally came to mind because of Savage Worlds, and it's something that not everybody knows about running the system. And it's the concept of the D6 mook, whereas I like to call him Mr. D6. Now in Savage Worlds, you need an extra, you need a goon, you need just some random NPC. You don't have to look up stats for specific things and all. When you want someone important, sure. But if you're just improvising, the D6 mook is where it's at. Now you might be wondering, what is he? Well, he's kind of the secret weapon for Savage World. He has a D6 in everything you need him to have. All of his attributes, D6. Any skill he has, it's just a D6. You roll it, you're done. Now, in the standard D6 mook, you take Vigor, you have to do the formula, all of that to figure out their toughness. D6 fighting doesn't equal a 6 parry, it equals a 5 parry. But my version of the D6 mook, Mr. D6, is just a little tweaked to make it 6s all across the board. The trick is Mr. D6 always wears low-level armor, like leather armor. So he has 1 point of armor. And he has the block edge. He can block. What does this do? Gives him +1 armor, aka +1 toughness, and +1 parry. Now, block also lets him reduce gang up bonus by 1, but if you forget that, that's fine. The main thing is you're wanting that toughness and that parry bump, because now he has a D6 in everything you need, and his parry is a 6, and his toughness is a 6, which keeps him nice and simple. You need a reduced version of him. He doesn't have block, he doesn't have any armor, and he has a D4 in everything, because then he has a parry of 4 and a toughness of 4. You need him a little more badass. I have Mr. D8, which he has a D8 in everything he needs. He has improved block, which gives him +2 parry, and he has better armor, like studded leather armor, maybe a flak vest, depending on, again, your settings. Savage Worlds is flexible like that. The main thing is he has 2 points of armor. That way, he now has an 8 parry and an 8 toughness. Don't underestimate this if you are new to Savage Worlds. Unless you're playing a high-powered game, 8 toughness is going to be tough enough. This is like the elite guy. But he's still just 8s across the board, which is nice. And again, improved block, just like block. He now ignores 2 points of gang up. Blah, blah, blah. If you forget that, that's not the point of having improved block. It's so that he has 8 parry. So that's it. That's a pretty common secret in Savage Worlds, the D6 mook. There can also be a D4 mook, and there can be a D8 mook. Now, we're going to take that concept, and we're going to shift it to D&D 5th edition. Boom. Throw it up right there. 3 stat blocks. You can just have it in that column. For tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3+. Really, by the time you get to the tier 3 guy, he works for tier 4. The scale kind of shifts because of how AC and stuff works. If you look at them, they have a CR. Because I went through, I did all the math based on the DMG for CRs if you want to use the CR system. The main thing you're going to notice with all of them, they don't have hit dice. I am stealing minions from 4th edition. They all have 1 hit point. If you hit them, they go down. Similar to Savage Worlds with the extras. If you would wound them, they just go down. Because of that, they're actually a little tougher, both to balance out the CR, and because that's actually how minions were designed. But it's also because it keeps the math really simple. A tier 1 minion is CR1. They have 10s across the board in the things that matter. They have 10 AC. If they do anything that would require a DC, you just make it DC 10. If you notice, the stat block only says attack, possible saves. Nothing else filled. You're supposed to improvise all of that. If you go, oh, it's a vine creature and it can throw vine whips to entangle you. You just say that. You don't build a whole stat block. You go, it has it. What's the attack bonus? We'll look at attack. Tier 1 is +5. Now, the damage isn't as easy as going 5, 10, 15, blah, blah, blah. But it's still real simple. Tier 1, D6 +3, it gets 1 attack. If it has a save, it's a DC 10. We move up to Tier 2. And honestly, moving everything up by 5 actually makes it a CR5 threat, even at 1 hit point, which is good for Tier 2. Tier 1's 1 to 5. Tier 2's 6 to 10. A CR5 threat, you can throw a few of them out there, and they're pretty tough. And it's 15s across the board. AC, 15. What's its passive perception? 15. What are its saves? If it causes a save needing a DC, 15. Its to hit goes up by 5. This does make them more deadly at higher tiers, but with the inflation that D&D and those kind of games go, it actually works really well. They get +10 to hit. Again, one of those concepts from minions in 4E is they're actually big threats, but they go out like that. You can throw a bunch of them because each minion is actually its own attack. Maybe you have them doing other things. Not every enemy in a fight has to be attacking. Some can be setting up traps. Some can be doing all that stuff if you worry about too many attacks. But each attack's +10. Tier 2, they get 2 attacks. Tier 1, you get 1 attack. Tier 2, they get 2 attacks. When we get to Tier 3 and 3+, it's actually 4 attacks. You just double it. This keeps the average damage per turn high enough to be within the tier without inflating what all they do. It has to a little in Tier 3. We're going to get to it. But it gets +10 to hit, and now it's just a D6 +5 instead of a D6 +3. But they can do it twice, and they're really good at hitting. Everything else you improvise. We move up, finally, to Tier 3. And yes, Tier 3 are scary. They're minions. First of all, they have to be powerful enough so that their CR stays within the Tier 3 to 4 range while only having 1 hit point. But what's funny is they're actually just following the formula. Tier 1 was 10. Tier 2 was 15. Tier 3+ is 20. Their AC, 20. Again, there's CR1 monsters with like 18 AC. They just don't hit that hard or don't hit that common. Look at the animated armor. That's an 18 if he doesn't have a shield. And again, we got these ACs within the rules so you can steal them. Where you're looking at it's a heavy armor. This is assuming plate with a shield. You can reflavor all of that. But when you're at those higher numbers, I do advise part of that 20 AC is a shield so that players can disarm and get creative and stuff. You're at a high enough level. But again, AC 20, passive perception 20. If they do anything that needs a save, it's a 20. Now, the Tier 3+ minions are terrifying. I mean, they are a CR... They're actually a CR 14 to keep the scaling going. That's right at the end of Tier 3. But they can function in Tier 3 and Tier 4. And a CR 14, you have a level 20 party, and the big bad could have like 6 or 7 of these minions. One area attack takes them out. So if the players are smart, they can deal with them. You can add a lot of variety. But if they don't, they'll mess them up because they get 4 attacks, plus 15 per attack. And it deals only a D6 +5, plus 2d6 damage. I noted of a different type. You do like plus 2d6 fire, plus 2d6 necrotic. You get to get a little more creative. Now granted, the others could be D6 +5 necrotic, but by having 2 damage types, resistances and all of that, you get into the complexity of having to worry about attacks hitting you at multiple fronts that high tier play should be. Right there, still improvised. So with that, we got 3 stats for Savage Worlds, Mr. D4, Mr. D6, Mr. D8, and we have 3 stat blocks for D&D, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3+. It's really all you need. Now, again, it's not clickbait. Now, again, these are the only stat blocks you'll need for when you're improvising something on the fly. It's not going to replace a dragon if your story wants a dragon. Those are the big guys. You go, you set them up. But if they go off the beaten path, if they go, oh, there's raiders. Oh, we deal with a bandit camp. Oh, maybe some like really scary goblins. And yes, there are goblin stat blocks, but if you really want to just improvise them, if you want to just add some minions to your big bad so there's more things on the battlefield, you have these. Single stat block, you throw them out, and there's a lot less to remember on that stat block and a lot more freedom and flexibility in them that they can be kind of anything. Anyways, that is the last stat blocks you'll ever need, and I'll catch you guys next week. Bye.